Hello there everybody, it is me FreezerBunny and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So today we are speed building a house called the Pinewood Modern. This is a relatively large 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom family home I made for a relatively small family with 1 teenager and 1 pet dog. So this is a little bit more modern and contemporary inspired, and I decided to call this house the Pinewood Modern because of all of the pine wood that was used extensively throughout the house in both the interior and the exterior as well. So I'm so excited to finally be back with another regular speed build. This past month and a half or so, I have been working on a special series of speed builds for my new Let's Play, and speaking of my new Let's Play, I would like to invite you guys to check it out because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys will enjoy it. It's got a lot to do with farming, it's got a lot to do with seasons, and if you enjoy Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley just like me, you will also enjoy my new series as well. It's been so much fun so far, so I highly suggest you guys check it out because I'm pretty sure that many of you will enjoy it. But anyway, enough of the self-promotion, shameless self-promotion. But let me just say, I am so excited to do this and I'm so happy with how it came out. I didn't expect it to turn out this well. I knew that I wanted to build a more modern house because recently I've been doing a lot of traditional rustic style homes. So this one, I expected myself to be a little bit rusty when it comes to making modern builds, but thankfully that wasn't the case, or at least in my opinion. I definitely sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I'm just really happy with how everything came together. I was really worried that all of it would look really boxy, so I tried my best to kind of make it look somewhat realistic, and I just wanted a house that, you know, people would look at and immediately would want to live in. So yeah, this house was definitely somewhat inspired by the house from Twilight. I was never really a big fan of Twilight, but I did watch the films, and the house, seeing it for the first couple of times, really stuck with me, and it really made an impression. So I think that that's my benchmark. Every time I try to build something modern, it has to live up to that sort of like awesomeness. So it's got a little bit of that vibe. Obviously, it's not a literal copy of the house, but you guys can probably see in the use of wood and glass materials, and also a little bit later on in the landscaping as well, which was kind of like inspired by more of like a colder alpine northern setting. And the landscaping took me forever, so I had to edit out a lot of it. Actually, I did have to edit out a lot of this video to condense it to a point where it's a little bit more easier to watch. But of course, I made sure to keep every detail that was important in. But overall, I was just so proud of this. This is definitely one of my favorite builds for this year. It also was probably one of the more difficult builds because originally I really wasn't planning on making a modern house. My plan for this week was actually to make a more of like a tropical inspired house because we recently got a patch in the game. We had a bunch of tropical themed items inspired by the Caribbean region. They were amazing, by the way, and I really wanted to make a build inspired by them, but for some reason I wasn't coming up with anything that was just I loved, you know. Everything was just not like I've seen it before, so I decided to not upload any of them, even though I did come pretty close to completing a couple of them. I just decided to not put them up because they weren't really, I wasn't in love with them, basically is what I'm trying to say. So here we go. This one, however, I am absolutely in love with. I'm more of a traditionalist, you know. When I decided to take up a degree in architecture, I was more in love with historical architecture and heritage conservation, but I would definitely live in here, like hands down, no questions asked. I would hands down live in this house because it's just so awesome. Like I feel like I projected some of what I want into this house to kind of make it my own. So it's very modern, as I mentioned earlier. It's very sophisticated, and yeah, like in the interior there's a lot of neutrals and there's a lot of bright colors. Well, it's not bright, it's just a lot of white basically, which I feel like is becoming more and more of my trademark. Like, I just love the plainness of white and just the simplicity of it, and it's not really about the color or the decoration for me. It's like more of like the lighting and the shapes and the flow. So since we're actually getting pretty close to working on the interior, I might as well talk about that. So for the interior, I went for a more open floor plan, which is pretty typical of modern architecture. It's where really the open floor plan was more widespread compared to more traditional styles where each room was its own specific use. Like the kitchen would be a separate room and the dining room would be a separate room. So in this case, I was really in love with this great room over here. It was just such an interesting shape to work with. Typically when I make great rooms, I make them really long and elongated. But this one, it's a really interesting irregular shape, so I had a lot to play with. And the biggest challenge was to make it all cohesive, because even if you have an open floor plan, it's still really easy to pick apart which room is which. Like, it's really easy to, make a kitchen with a different style or make a dining room with a different style, but it was definitely a challenge to make it all cohesive, but I think I pulled it off. I'm really happy with how it all came together in terms of the design and in terms of the flow. I think aesthetically it all jives together, and also structurally it all makes sense as well. Like, I think that I was able to incorporate a lot of decorative structural elements, like these beams over here, which I love doing these exposed beams. I feel like they do such a good job of separating spaces without actually building walls. And yeah, overall I just use a lot of light woods, which are supposed to be pine wood. I think I've read somewhere that pine wood is also really fragrant as well, so I wonder what that smells like. Obviously I live in a tropical country, so I've never really smelled actual pine wood. So yeah, I have watched several channels on YouTube that actually work with wood, and they recognize the wood based on smell. So that's a very interesting thought that I had. I don't even know why. I'm just architecturally geeking out on you guys. But right here was my original location for the dining room, but eventually I actually decided to move it elsewhere because I felt like it was a little bit too conventional to have the dining room over there. So instead I actually put the dining room closer to the main entrance as opposed to where the living room is, and I thought that just gave the whole space a little bit more of a different vibe as far as circulation goes. So it's a little bit more unexpected to have the dining room ahead of the living room, but overall, once again, I thought that it just came together so nicely, and I wouldn't change a thing. I also was able to incorporate a lot of useful items in this house as well. So this TV, I don't think I've used it that much before, but I'm so happy that I actually made it work. The only reason why I shy away from using that TV, that like bendy giant TV, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a little bit difficult to incorporate in houses because it just looks so huge and unrealistic. But in this case, I think it really works. I also put a piano right next to that corner over there, and this really large bookcase that came in seasons that I wish came in a smaller size, because if it did, I would definitely use it a lot more. But typically I build only with the really short wall height or the medium wall height, so it's really hard for me to use that shelf or bookcase. But look at that, it fits so nicely in that little area. And I'm just adding in some nice little plant accents. There's a lot of that in this house. But one of my favorite things that I actually did in this build is incorporating these like hanging pendant lights all throughout the house. Typically I would go more for lights that hang really closely from the ceiling, but in this house I was able to use a lot of lights that actually hung really far from the ceiling, and they were almost dangling in a way. So that's another really interesting thing that I was able to do differently from my other builds in this one. So having those, I think, really just changed the whole aesthetic and just really brought the whole space together, because this little split level area, it did have significantly higher ceilings, so having these like drop lights just look really nice. And I love these lights that came with bowling stuff. I put them in this like kitchen bar area and they just look so perfect there. And then just adding in a couple more plants just to have a little bit of a splash of color. I tend to use like these really awesome looking plants because yeah, everything was so neutral and white that having these splash of green really ties everything together. So working on the master bedroom, it is a little bit small for a master bedroom of a house this size, but I did actually decide to put it on this level because there's actually a little bit of a change later on. I will extend the back patio so that the master bedroom can actually literally just walk out to the back patio and to the pool area. So I thought that was a really neat little feature that makes it well worth it to have a little bit of a smaller bedroom, because you did have that nice little feature of being able to walk to the swimming pool. But overall, the master bedroom I actually really love. I was able to use those tropical wallpapers that just everyone is obsessed with. I haven't seen a single person that was critical of this new patch, and I love it. I never thought I was able to. I never thought I was gonna be able to use that wallpaper in this build. I got a little tongue-tied there for a little bit, but yeah, I was able to use them here. I do change the position of it to behind the master bed because that little window, I'm gonna change it into a sliding door in just a little bit. By the way, speaking of sliding doors, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to finally have sliding doors. It was always a mystery to me why the Sims team decided not to have sliding doors on the base game, because we've always had them in previous Sims games. So right now I'm just really happy that they're adding it in a free patch so that everybody gets them. So this is, yeah. Working on the master bathroom, once again, it's a little bit small for a master bathroom, but once again, I was really happy with how everything came together. It did have a bathtub and a shower and everything you would possibly need to live a comfortable life. But yeah, I was really happy with this. This is the only bathroom that I will show off in the video because the other two I haven't furnished yet. So I was also concerned that everything would take way too long to finish, so typically I don't really include all of the bathrooms in my video unless it's a really short video. So anyway, this is the part where I extended this back patio area, and I actually really like the look of it. I didn't expect to like it as much, but it actually looks really nice. I thought it would look really weird to have the patio run the length of the house, but it actually turned out really nicely. So this main entrance area has this kind of like little nook. So just to add a little bit of interest in that area, I put some jars that came with Jungle Adventure and just put them on top of a bed of pebbles, and I thought that was a really nice little accent detail. And then of course over here for the grand entrance slash staircase area, I just put like a really large modern chandelier to, you know, be that statement piece. So working on the guest bedroom, this one is a little bit more of a simpler bedroom once again. Unsurprisingly, I used more of like a neutral color palette. And that beautiful bed from Seasons, by the way, I used quite a lot of Seasons in this build. But I imagine this room to also work as an office as well, so it has a significantly larger desk than the other bedrooms. Also, I don't know why, but for some reason I just decided to do a little bit of a nautical theme for this room, so I decided to add like a ship sculpture behind that bed. So right now working on the teen's bedroom, it was kind of a struggle at first because I wasn't really getting the look that I wanted. So I experimented with different colors and different materials and different furniture items. But in the end, I actually really like the teen room. This is also where I put a lot of the dog's stuff, or like, yeah. I didn't put any cat stuff, so I can't say pet stuff, so it's specifically for dogs, even though you guys can easily just put a bunch of like, you know, scratching posts and cat condos or whatever. But yeah, I love this room. Green is one of my favorite colors. When I was a teenager, I actually had my parents paint my bedroom green because it was my favorite color. So yeah, I would totally love this room. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I love this feature wall behind the bed. And yeah, overall I really enjoyed this room. It also has this giant like balcony outside of it, so it's a pretty awesome room, if I do say so myself. In the balcony is where I actually put a lot of the dog stuff as well, so a lot of the dog toys and a feeding bowl is there. I also put a little feeding bowl as well in the kitchen. I'm not sure if the dogs in The Sims 4 need litter boxes because as far as I'm concerned, litter boxes are only for cats, so I didn't put a litter box as well, so yeah. Anyway, I imagine this teen to be a little bit more on the sophisticated side, maybe somebody obsessed with Instagram and travel. So for a little bit more personality, I actually throw in like a corkboard for postcards, and I actually did use the show hidden objects cheat to pull out a couple of postcards and actually put them in this room just to add a little bit more personality. And of course, it would not be a full-on teen room without a TV and a computer or a console, so that's that. That's just my opinion, by the way. I also put these decals, which I never used before, but they're so nice. They really tied the whole room together. Moving on to this upstairs area, I had no idea what to do with it at first, so I ended up making it just a little gym area. So there's a couple of gym equipment and some yoga mats as well, and a little stereo just so that the Sims could have a variety of options that they want if they want to exercise, I mean. So if you guys need extra bedrooms, this would also be a really good place. Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite features of this house actually, this basketball court, which I never intended to have on this level, but this little spot right here was just big enough to actually have a basketball court, so I was like, why not? So I just went ahead and added one on the top. So I was really happy with that actually. I didn't expect to incorporate that, but I did. This area right here that we're working on right now is more of like a patio type area slash, or you know what, it's more of like a party space. I don't even know why I put this here instead of the patio downstairs, but I felt like this was a better place for it because it just feels so much better to have this hot tub, you know, on a like a higher level. And since this place had so much space, there's also a bar and a barbecue area. And by the way, that space opens up to the guest room, so I thought that that was a really appropriate use of the space. So one thing that I'm incredibly proud of in this build is actually the shapes that I was able to come up with the terrain painting tool. So you guys will see me actually do a lot of that in this video. Typically I will edit out the terrain painting, but I actually kept a lot of it. So this is just me marking the different planter beds and the different pathways and stuff like that. So yeah, this pathway right here is supposed to be what the garage is gonna be, so that's that. Yeah, I didn't make like an actual garage on this one. It's just like a little parking space for a car. I wonder if we're ever gonna get cars in The Sims. Anyway, so for the back, just to have a little bit more privacy, I added in these hedges. And then, oh my gosh, I love what I did here. I don't even know like what I was thinking when I made this, but I actually really like this like mix of gravel and grass and dirt. It just looks really awesome. And this is where I decided to put the swimming pool, because of course we had to have a swimming pool. And I put like this little diving platform, which I've never used before. It came with Get Together. I feel like it was meant for more of like a natural pool, but it looked so good, like, because it reminded me of those like postmodern, like naturalistic wannabe looking pool furniture equipment. So I just put it there, and I just lined the pool with some nice little rocks. Oh my gosh, this thing, I saw one of my good friends Harrie do this in her newest build, where she built like a Caribbean themed house. I was obsessed with like that little bed sofa thing, a sofa bed, so I had to recreate it. So yeah, I stole her little idea, so hey Harrie, if you're watching. Anyway, I also love how I was able to incorporate that little kiddie pool on the side. I'm not sure if you guys caught it, but there's a little kiddie pool just right next to the main swimming pool area. And right here I was running out of stuff to actually put as outdoor activities, so I put like a horseshoe thing. I don't know why, but it's there just to have some fun and some activities on the outdoors. And by the way, this house actually has 2 grills, so #luxury. In front, I also put this fountain area / mini pond. I don't know why, it's just a nice accent for front areas of the lot, I noticed. And I've done this in many of my other lots before, so I feel like a lot of homes would actually have like little fountains like these. Anyway, so one interesting thing that I did differently in this actually was to put rocks ahead of the landscaping, since I was going for a more alpine northern look. I knew that the rocks were going to be really important details, so I didn't want to place them first. And this is just me fast forwarding through the whole placing the trees and stuff, because that just took so much time. I still have so much landscaping that I need to do, because I need to fill up all of these other exposed, you know, areas of where the dirt is. But it looks like that is actually going to be it for this video. I love how I just rambled random stuff throughout this video, but anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this speed build. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed it, please don't forget to help support the channel by liking the video, and sharing really helps out as well, so I really appreciate it if you do. And yeah, that is going to be it for this video. You all have an awesome day. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.